Adam Levine's epic Lockbox Saga 250 Keys. Join Adam Levine on his Lockbox quest in Neverwinter. Watch as our unsuspecting hero embarks on a typical Lockbox journey. As key after key fails him, Adam's frustration becomes your amusement. This isn't just about luck, but a tutorial in perseverance. Dive into the chaos and fun that only Neverwinter can bring. Share your own key opening stories in the comments below.
The rogue, let's call him Silas. Silas was no ordinary rogue. He was a master of stealth, a shadow in the night, and a legend among thieves. Yes, Silas. Silas had a problem, a good problem some might say, a problem that many would envy but few would understand. A problem most adventurers would kill for. You see, in the world of Neverwinter, keys were more than just tools, they were symbols of power, gateways to untold riches. Silas had a key problem, 250 keys to be exact, lockbox keys, Neverwinter's finest. Each key held the promise of adventure, the thrill of discovery. 2,000 keys this year. That's what he aimed for. A collection so vast it would make even the most seasoned adventurers green with envy.
Silas muttered, counting his stash again. He meticulously organized them, each key a testament to his cunning and skill. He knew it was excessive, but greed, like a rusty lock, was hard to resist. The allure of what lay behind those locked doors was too strong, especially when whispered rumors promised treasures beyond imagination. Companions fiercer than owlbears, mounts faster than griffins. The possibilities were endless.
Maybe even a gem or two. Silas had heard tales of gems that could grant wishes, artifacts that could change the course of history.
He chuckled. The thought of such power made him giddy. One could never have too many gems, after all. One could never have too many gems. Each one was a piece of a larger puzzle, a step closer to ultimate power. The glint of the keys reflected in his eyes. They were more than just metal, they were keys to possibilities, to power, to becoming a legend. Silas knew that with each key he was one step closer to his destiny. Silas was going to be the envy of Neverwinter. He just had to open a few lockboxes first, and with each turn of the key he would unlock not just treasures, but his own potential. The city would remember his name, not just as a rogue, but as a legend.
Silas, master of shadows, slipped through the marketplace. He could pickpocket a dragon blindfolded, relieve a beholder of its lunch money. But these lockboxes, they were different. Enchanted, they called it. Immune to even the most nimble fingers. Bah, like I need those fancy skills. He wasn't bitter. Okay, maybe a little. Years of training, wasted. All that for a lock he couldn't pick. The irony wasn't lost on him. Stealth and skill, lad, that's the rogue's way. Right now Silas would settle for a battering ram and a very strong ox. Enchanted lockboxes, more like enchanted headaches.
Still, a rogue had his pride, and Silas, he had a plan and a whole lot of keys. He was out 250 keys.
You've given me a challenge, he murmured, his eyes glinting with renewed purpose.
Because in Neverwinter, there's always another lockbox waiting to be opened.
Word on the street was these lockboxes held more than just gold. They were rumored to contain items of immense power and value, things that could change the course of one's destiny. Silas had heard whispers of legendary companions, fiery angels, mischievous imps, even miniature beholders. These weren't just myths, they were real and they were out there waiting to be found. Imagine the chaos. A beholder that fits in my pocket, now that's just good business. Think of the possibilities, sneaking it into enemy camps, using it to spy, or just having it as a conversation starter at the local tavern.
Then there were the mounts. These weren't your ordinary horses or mules, swift griffins that soared through the clouds, their wings cutting through the air like knives. They could take you to places no one else could reach, giving you the upper hand in any situation. Armored bears that could flatten enemies with a single paw swipe. Imagine the sheer terror on your foes' faces as you charge into battle on one of these behemoths. Silas dreamed of riding into battle atop a majestic unicorn, not just for the power it would grant him, but for the awe and respect it would command.
Just to see the looks on their faces, the sheer disbelief, the envy, the fear, it would be priceless.
He cackled. The thought of it all was almost too much to bear, but there was more to these lockboxes than just companions and mounts. But the real prize, the gems. These weren't just any ordinary stones. Gems that could enhance weapons, grant unimaginable power. They could turn a simple sword into a legendary blade, capable of cutting through the toughest armor. Silas could practically feel their weight in his palm, see the way they sparkled under the tavern's dim lights. Each gem held the promise of greatness, of power beyond measure.
Power, prestige, and probably a really cool hat. Because let's face it, what's power without a little style? These lockboxes are practically begging me to open them. Each one is a mystery, a potential treasure trove of unimaginable wealth and power. And I intend to find out exactly what they hold. Getting the keys was easy, too easy, almost like a trap. Silas had been in situations like this before, where everything seemed to fall into place a little too perfectly. It was the kind of scenario that made the hairs on the back of his neck stand up. But he had learned to trust his instincts, and right now they were telling him to proceed with caution. Nah, Silas thought, brushing off the paranoia. He had been through worse and come out unscathed. This was just another day in the life of a master thief. He couldn't afford to let doubt creep in now. He had a job to do, and he was going to see it through. He was just that good. Years of training and countless successful heists had honed his skills to perfection. He knew every trick in the book, and then some. Confidence was his armor, and it had never failed him before. Besides, who needs caution when you have a dagger and a quick wit? His dagger was more than just a weapon. It was an extension of himself. Quick reflexes and a sharp mind had saved him more times than he could count. He was ready for anything. They call me Shadow, you know. The name wasn't just a moniker. It was a reputation he had earned through years of meticulous planning and flawless execution. In the world of thieves, being a shadow meant being invisible, untouchable.
He whispered to a particularly dense goblin guarding a chest. The goblin, with its limited intellect, was no match for Silas's cunning. A few well-chosen words and a bit of misdirection were all it took to divert its attention. The goblin, oblivious, continued snoring. It was almost too easy. Silas couldn't help but feel a twinge of pity for the creature, but that feeling quickly passed. He had a mission to complete. Silas chuckled, relieving the creature of its keys. The sound of his own laughter was a reminder of how far he had come, from a street urchin to a master thief. His journey had been anything but ordinary. Orcs, trolls, even the occasional lost adventurer. None were a match for Silas's stealth. He moved through the forest like a ghost, unseen and unheard. His ability to blend into his surroundings was unparalleled. He was a phantom, a whisper in the wind. His movements were so fluid and silent that even the most alert creatures failed to notice him. It was as if he existed in a different plane of reality, one where he was the master of shadows. They never even saw him coming. His ability to appear out of nowhere was legendary. It was a skill that had saved his life on more than one occasion and had earned him the respect and fear of his peers. Mostly because they were busy looking at shiny objects. Classic mistake. In a world where distractions were plentiful, Silas knew how to use them to his advantage. A well-placed trinket or a glint of light was often all it took to divert attention.
Amateur mistake. He had seen it time and time again. The allure of shiny objects was a weakness that many couldn't resist. It was almost laughable how predictable it was.
He smirked, pocketing another key. Each key was a step closer to his goal, a testament to his skill and cunning. The thrill of the heist was intoxicating, and he relished every moment of it. He almost felt bad for them. Almost. But in the world of thieves, there was no room for sentiment. It was a game of survival, and only the best could thrive. But hey, business is business. In the end, it was all about the payoff. The risks, the challenges, the close calls. They were all part of the job. And Silas was a professional. And Silas was about to be very rich. The thought of the reward waiting for him was enough to keep him going. He had come too far to turn back now. The keys were just the beginning. The real prize was yet to come.
Each lockbox was a gamble, a miniature heart attack waiting to happen. Click-clack, the satisfying sound of the key turning. A puff of smoke, a blinding light, and then disappointment. Mostly a rusty dagger. Seriously, I've seen sharper spoons.
But every now and then, a glimmer of hope, a rare enchant, a powerful potion, enough to keep him going, to fuel the addiction. Because that's what it was, wasn't it? An addiction.
Just one more. This one's got to be the one.
The thrill of the unknown, the chance of striking it rich. It was intoxicating, and Silas, well, he was already drunk on the possibility.
Silas wasn't all greed, though. He had a certain charm, a roguish wit that could disarm even the grumpiest dwarf. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. He still maintained it was the gnome's fault for having such tempting pockets.
He once convinced a troll that lockboxes were actually offerings to the god of bad luck. The troll, surprisingly superstitious, promptly handed over his entire stash.
Never underestimate the power of a good story.
Because what was life without a little laughter, even if it was at the expense of gullible trolls?
These aren't the keys you're looking for, Silas muttered, mimicking a certain Jedi master as he sidestepped a particularly shifty vendor.
The Zen market, a haven for weary travelers, a den of thieves and everything in between. It was also a breeding ground for scammers, con artists, and that one guy who always tried to sell you rare lockbox keys at a discount.
Hey, everyone's got to learn somehow. He'd shrug, nursing his bruised ego and light a coin purse.
The tricks were endless. Fake keys, rigged boxes, even illusions designed to make you think you'd won big. Silas had seen it all, and fallen for most of it, at least once. The Zen market was a dangerous game, and Silas, well, he was a sucker for a good deal.
This better be one heck of a hat, he muttered, his voice hoarse with anticipation.
249 lockboxes down, one to go. Silas held the final key, his hand trembling slightly. This was it. The culmination of months of work, countless close calls, and way too much gold spent at the Zen market. He found a secluded corner, away from prying eyes and potential thieves. The lockbox, heavier than he remembered, sat before him. Silas took a deep breath, slid the key in, and turned. The lock clicked open, no smoke, no blinding light, just emptiness. Well, almost empty. Inside, nestled on a bed of velvet, lay a single piece of parchment. Silas, his heart sinking, unfolded it with trembling fingers.
Congratulations, it read in elegant script. You've been officially relieved of your worldly possessions. Thanks for playing.
Betrayal. It stung more than he cared to admit. All this time it had been a setup, a cruel joke, and Silas, the master thief, had been the fool. Rage, hot and fierce, coursed through him. He wanted to scream, to throw the lockbox against the wall. But then a slow smile spread across his face.
Well played, he whispered, a hint of admiration in his voice. Well played.
He was out 250 keys, a small fortune, and his pride. But Silas was a rogue, and a rogue always lands on his feet. Besides, he had a new target now. Whoever orchestrated this elaborate scheme had a twisted sense of humor. Silas's kind of humor.
You've given me a challenge, he murmured, his eyes glinting with renewed purpose, and I never back down from a challenge.
The hunt was on, and this time Silas wasn't after treasure, he was after revenge, and something told him this was just the beginning of a much bigger adventure. Because in Neverwinter, there's always another lockbox waiting to be opened, and Silas was just getting started.